and Dubs Talk Live presented by Mancini Sleep World. The Warriors go down in LA against the Clippers 102-92. They have now lost 6 in a row to the Clippers. Dalton, that's Dalton Johnson. I'm Zena, Keita. As if you didn't just hear my voice for the last hour in Warriors postgame, I'm now here with Dalton Johnson. That's going to help me break all of this down. There's a lot going on with the Warriors right now. This is their 20th clutch game, and now their 12th clutch loss this season. But there was a beautiful little comeback in that fourth quarter before things went down for the Warriors. Let's talk a little bit about it, because the Warriors continue to find themselves in these positions in which they're almost coming back. They're fighting back at the end. Maybe they get down in that third quarter. Maybe they get down in the first half. But then, Dalton, they make a little bit of a push in that fourth quarter, and you saw them go on a 14-0 run. What happened?
Yeah, it looked like the first 3 quarters. It looked like the Warriors had the Boxing Day blues, still trying to wake up from Christmas, still trying to get all that off themselves right now. But yeah, the fourth quarter, the young guys, they showed that they still have the spark, still have the jolt, that they were not going to go down, with a whimper. They're going to go down swinging for sure. I mean, we saw them going full court pressure to begin the fourth quarter. Ty Lue having to go 2 early timeouts, 8-second violation, things like that. And those are what you can build off of going forward. There's a lot of things we can talk about throughout the show, what went wrong, but there were the little things that I thought that they can really kind of spark them going forward and go, this is the team that we want to be. This is the energy that we want to shift to Chase Center beginning tomorrow night, first game of back-to-back. They go, this is the energy that we need to shift to our home crowd and get some momentum going from the end of the year to the start of 2025. And
what was really exciting is you mentioned the young guys. They were the ones that really jolted the Warriors back into position to volley for a potential win towards the end of that game. And they showed glimpses of what the Warriors look like in past. In that 12-3 start that you saw the Warriors with their defensive pressure, this is what you saw. But when you think about it, it was really the bench overall winning the battle 55-14, really led by one guy. Jonathan Kuminga dropping 34 points tonight overall, getting his first double-double, 5 rebounds, and also adding some assists. I'm all over the place. 10 rebounds, 5 assists, excuse me. But overall, just pressuring the rim, attacking the basket, doing it all for the Warriors. What did you like the most about Jonathan Kuminga's pressure?
You brought up pressuring the rim, and that's what I love the most, was that he played his style of game. Look at this. I mean, yeah, we could have about the highlight reel, but you look at the shot chart of Jonathan Kuminga tonight is the exact shot chart that they could print out, posterize, and go, this is who you are. Get to the rim, run, dominate like he did tonight. And I look at, 34 points, career high for him. Great to see. 10 rebounds, equally as important. That shows me the energy. That shows me the attention to detail. That shows me just, again, how engaged he was. And that's what you want out of Jonathan Kuminga. And then my final point is 11 free throws made. Getting to the free throw that often, 14 free throws in total, making 11, which is also a career high. That is how JK can get to 34 points. I love to see only 1 of 3 from three-point range. Yeah, that can be a cherry on top for him, making the three-pointers, but attacking the rim and getting to the free throw line. There were a couple times that he got fouled on mid-range shots too, where it was, I'm not going to force a mid-range shot. I'm going to use a quick pump fake. I'm going to force a free throw and then trust myself at the free throw line. That's what I thought was really impressive about Jonathan Kuminga's overall game tonight.
And I love that. The fact that he wasn't forcing the threes, the way you put it, cherry on top. His game is inside, getting into the paint, getting into that elbow area, working his way through. How does the Warriors, particularly Steve Kerr, how do they make sure that this is a consistent effort regardless of who's on the floor? Because tonight, the Warriors did not have Steph Curry or Draymond Green for the second time this season, but they're expected to be back on the court tomorrow against the Phoenix Suns. How can you consistently get this output from a Jonathan Kuminga?
I think that's kind of the big question right now for Jonathan Kuminga and this coaching staff to figure out right now. Because you look at the roster construction, and it's just really hard for Jonathan Kuminga to be able to do this with a Draymond Green, with a Steph Curry, with an Andrew Wiggins, so on and so forth. Right? So overall, I think that is a giant question. That's a giant $150 million question, a giant $200 million question that Jonathan Kuminga is wondering as well, because It was not too long ago when it's going, it is your time now, youngster. Draymond Green is willing to go to the bench, willing to put himself to the side for you. It's your time. And that's empowerment, right? That's making you feel like I can put on a cape. I'm Superman now. I got all the confidence in the world. And then a few games later, I'm back to the bench. So I think it's one way or the other. It's a teetering going back and forth. How do you find the confidence, whether you're either a starter or whether you're off the bench tonight? For him to do that off the bench is something that we have to point out. The fact that Steve Kerr wanted Kyle Anderson in the starting lineup to do more of that Draymond role and let JK come off the bench and flourish like he did. So it's a great question. I wish I had the answer, and I'm sure Jonathan Kuminga and even Steve Kerr wish they had the answer too going forward, because, yeah, you got to be able to get this kind of confident Jonathan Kuminga no matter who is on the court next to him.
There's key words I'm hearing you say: empowerment, confidence, right? These things where you're really just trying to invigorate these young guys with this energy. With this energy of just like, you can do this. But I love what you're saying, because the next guy we're going to talk about, Trayce Jackson-Davis, is another one of those guys that needed that empowerment, needed that confidence to be able to play well. And in these last 3 starts that he's had, the first 3 starts he's had since November, he's been coming out and playing pretty solidly for the Warriors in that center position. Tonight, Trayce Jackson-Davis being able to be the other double-point scoring player for the team overall, 15 points, 7 of 12 from the floor, adding 9 rebounds as well. For Trayce Jackson-Davis, what is the key for him to have a big game?
Trayce Jackson-Davis lately has been the TJD that we saw at the end of last season, who was a game changer, offensively and defensively. I love that this game started out with Zubac, who has been a Warriors killer, really spinning and taking it to Trayce Jackson-Davis. And then TJD goes right back at him. Isn't like, okay, shoot, he got me, the veteran got me, let me shrug my shoulders and jog down the floor. No, he went right back at him. This is the aggressive Trayce Jackson-Davis that you need to see. We've talked about it with bigs, right? Feed them early, make them feel part of the game, make them feel empowered, right? And that's what I love to see from Trayce Jackson-Davis. I think his 15 points tied a career high, but it's a 6 offensive rebounds by him too. So overall, the Warriors were really good on the glass tonight, especially on the offensive glass. But Trayce Jackson-Davis, early on this season, you really just weren't feeling him. You know, he wasn't finishing very well when he's going through his rough patches, but I think when I watch a big man like Trayce Jackson-Davis, I want to, even from my couch or from the studio or from the court, I want to feel like I'm right there next to him, if that makes sense, right? Well,
trust me, there was a few blocks that Zubac had where you felt like you felt Zubac, right? And that's the same sort of level that you want to feel out of Trayce Jackson-Davis. One thing I would love to see more from him is getting him on the free throw line. Now, that's an area that he struggled this season with his free throw shot, but just being able to show that physicality again of just fighting through arms, et cetera, getting him going more overall. This is someone that came off the bench and now is in the starting lineup. JK coming off the bench tonight. Again, bench did their thing. That being said, Jonathan Kaminga had 34 of their 55 points, but we cannot stress much how Brandon Podziemski came onto the floor tonight and did a lot of the little things in terms of floor setting, in terms of pushing the pace, that directly contributed to that run in the 4th quarter. When you think about Brandon Podziemski and you think about his impact, it's not necessarily a ton of points. What would you say you feel Brandon Podziemski the most out on the court?
I think it's a flawed stat, but this is the 4th straight game that Brandon Podziemski has had a positive plus-minus. And we know with Brandon Podziemski, again, not a perfect stat, but when you look at BP, you've seen the plus-minus his rookie year and the beginning of this year, and it says a lot about his overall game. It shows when his nose is going for rebounds, when he's taking charges, when he's not over-dribbling and keeping the ball going. And his shot, he has looked more confident with it lately. 4 of 9 overall, 2 of 5 from 3 tonight. I think we've seen a solid stretch overall from Brandon Podziemski. And let's just talk about the bench overall, like you brought up earlier, is the fact that I think that tonight they had 10 steals overall. They had 8 steals in the 4th quarter alone. The Warriors as a whole in the 4th quarter forced 12 turnovers. The problem also was at the shooting tonight. They went 1 of 9 from three-point range in the fourth quarter. But when I talk about 8 to 10 steals overall, that shows that activity, that shows getting in passing lanes, deflections, and that is Brandon Podziemski. He's not a perfect defender by any means right now, but when you see the activity on both sides of the floor and getting the ball moving instead of over-dribbling, when I see him over-dribbling, I think he's overthinking at times too. When I see him moving and playing that Steve Kerr .5 basketball, now you're seeing the rookie that exceeded every expectation last season. This is the Brandon Podziemski that Steve Kerr really trusts and knows can be the energizer that this team needs on a nightly basis.
You know my favorite stat? 0 turnovers.
Yes, exactly.
And he's had several games like this recently where he's taking care of the ball and really being a floor setter. When you think about his growth overall for his game and just being able to be more patient on the ball, what have you heard around him or from him directly about what it's taking to get him to be a little bit more patient with the ball?
And I think it's a little bit of the combinations, right? I mean, Steve's even talked about, like naturally he's a point guard, but really his best asset is kind of the comma guard. Is that last season, 90% of his minutes were either with Steph Curry or with Chris Paul. With Steph Curry, he can play a little bit off the ball as far as Steph goes, and BP can handle the ball. Obviously, Chris Paul is more that point guard, the natural point guard, and then BP can be off the ball, get the ball moving, be a swing guy, move around the floor. So he is that natural Steve Kerr connector. That's the word that Steve Kerr loves to use when it comes to Brandon Podziemski is connector, right? So I think that's when he's overall at his best, when he's not, again, trying to be outside of himself, being who he is, being that connector role, and just letting the game flow to him. And that's what we've seen recently. And that's where I think he's one of those type of players where plus minus does actually make sense for him.
Yeah, he does. You can see the impact that he has out on the floor, not necessarily in his own box score line, but necessarily on how the overall game looks when he's out there.
Exactly.
I'm a fan of the fact that things are cleaning up for Brandon Podziemski. Now, when we get back, we got to talk about some things that aren't quite cleaning up. Warriors didn't shoot well tonight, and Dennis Schroder experiment is still ongoing. Don't go anywhere. This is Dubs Talk Live, presented by Mancini Sleep World. We'll be right back.
Dubs Talk Live is presented by Mancini Sleep World. Visit Mancini Sleep World for the year-end clearance sale. Save big on premium mattresses plus free delivery. Hurry in now or visit us online at sleepworld.com.
All righty, YouTube, what's up, what's up? Let's get into some of these comments and questions. Talking about the Warriors being back to 500 after a 12-3 start.
And a 3-12 cents.
And 3-12 cents. They quite literally flipped their record. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Let's see. Otis asking, rough loss, but nice to see the Warriors compete in that fourth. Absolutely. I feel like they got back to their fundamentals. They got back to what mattered in terms of being able to pressure the ball on defense and run. Shout out. Going double duty. We got to get this money, y'all.
Yeah, I heard that.
This is an interesting comment. No cap 757. Jordan Poole would have won this game tonight. And I think that that's interesting because I think that the position that Jordan Poole played in terms of being a ball creator or a shot creator, et cetera, like JK fit that nicely tonight.
He did, yeah.
You know?
And I think that that's a little bit of what Dennis Schroeder is a much better on-ball defender, obviously, than Jordan Poole, but I think that's a little bit of what they saw in him, too, as far as that quick twitch guy who can get you a bucket early. Obviously, we're going to talk about it. It has been great so far for Dennis Schroeder, but I can see where they're seeing, okay, if we can get a little bit of the DeAnthony Melton on-ball defense with a little bit of that JP quick twitch athleticism, that could be the right kind of combination that you want, right?
I like that. I like that a lot. Some people wanting to hit the panic button, not panic button. I don't know.
It's tough.
We'll see.
30 games.
It's
30
tough.
games, right?
It's tough. Here we go. All right, guys, getting back to it. Welcome back to Dubs Talk, presented by Mancini Sleep World. We're breaking down the 102-92 loss for the Warriors against the LA Clippers. The Warriors are now 500 on the season. They went 12-3 to start, and then flipped their record and went 3-12 since. And it's not been good. The number one thing that's been pretty obvious for them, though, is their offense. Things just haven't been clicking on the same cylinders that the Warriors started out with in terms of the offensive flow. Now, some could say that the Warriors were already in an ice-cold bucket when it came to their offense before adding Dennis Schroder, but since adding Dennis Schroder, it hasn't gotten better, and that's what he was supposed to help fix. What's going on with the Warriors offense, though?
Yeah, I mean, since Dennis Schroder has been here, I mean, it's what's colder than cold? Ice cold, right? I mean, Andre 3000 let us know.
There you go.
But again, yeah, I mean, on a night when you don't have Steph Curry, you cannot have Dennis Schroder, Andrew Wiggins, and Buddy Hield combined for 17 points on 23% shooting, going 2 of 15 from three-point range. This is the kind of game where those are the guys that have to step up the most.
Right.
It's great to see Jonathan Kuminga go ahead and go, give me the ball, I'm going to find a bucket and get you 34 points. That's great, of course. But when your three top scoring starters combine for less than 20 points in total, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
You just are, right? So, again, those are the three that had to step up tonight, and they couldn't. The Dennis Schroder experiment, it's only been 5 games. I understand that. You need a longer leash to really understand what you have there. But it just seems like he's still trying to find his way in here, right? And so this was a game where you cannot blame Steve Kerr for Dennis Schroder missing shots.
Sure.
They tried a whole lot of pick and roll tonight, which is Dennis Schroder's kind of game. But within pick and roll, you need others to make three-pointers too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You need a Buddy Hield to be better than, what was he from 3? He was 1 for 6, 2 of 8 overall.
1 for 6.
I mean, Andrew Wiggins was even worse shooting the ball overall. So that's going to negate Dennis Schroder a little bit, and then the offense is just overall going to just stumble and tumble down a hill, you know.
Steve Kerr mentioned this in his post-game presser, that as much as Dennis Schroder needs to be able to hit some shots, the Warriors need outside shots to hit around him as well.
Exactly, yes.
They need to relieve some of the pressure from around Dennis Schroder. Now, when it comes to Dennis, he is coming into this game, and there recently was an article with Mark Spears of Anscape talking about his experience adjusting to this space with a Steph Curry, with a Draymond Green. He likened it to what he had to do in LA alongside a LeBron James. Tonight, there was no Steph Curry. So what is happening with Dennis Schroder's shot that of what you know, that you've known of his game? What are you not seeing that's happening with the Warriors that was happening with the Brooklyn Nets?
I thought that tonight was going to be the game where it's like, okay, Dennis Schroder can be Dennis Schroder. You know, overall, even with Steph Curry, you saw just looking at, you know, averages, it seems like I believe that he was averaging 5 fewer shots overall with the Warriors than he was with the Nets. And I mean, let's be real. He was the guy for a team, along with Cam Thomas, Cam Johnson, on a rebuilding team where you can kind of go out there and fully play your game. You don't have to be so much a part of a system and as well as be just yourself, right? So far when I'm watching him shoot, it seems like everything is short. Everything doesn't really have the full legs, and it almost seems like even mid-shot, he's not thinking so much, but like not letting it come to him and letting his body overtake, where it's almost like, get there. It's almost like he's trying to push the ball towards the basket instead of just be himself as a scorer, trying to find, okay, where's my mid-range game? Okay, this is a three-point shooting team. Do I need to take more of those? So you're just not seeing Dennis Schroder be Dennis Schroder. So again, it's only 5 games. You got to give up more than that. Steve Kerr has said how much he believes in him, that he's a gamer, that he has that feistiness in him, that he has that dog in him, and they believe in all that. But again, right now, the shot just has to get going. And I just want to find ways where Dennis Schroder can be Dennis Schroder. Because even when he came over here, Draymond Green said, we shouldn't be the ones, you know, saying you need to fit our system. We need to adjust to him also, because this is a team that needs somebody that's different. It can't just be the same sets that we've seen for the last decade. There's a reason everyone is just face guarding Steph Curry up and down the court. It's impossible. I don't care if you're 36 or 26 to score like Steph is right now with that kind of defense. So once Dennis Schroder hopefully feels a little more comfortable in his own shoes, I think we're going to see the real Dennis Schroder. But right now, it just feels like a version of him that isn't who he really wants to be.
You make a great point. It is only 5 games, folks. Like, it's not a big sample size. He is still adjusting in the middle of a season, trying to get back to who he was in a different system. And it's true, when you're trying to fit into a new situation, it's possible that you overthink, that you're doing a lot more than you typically would to get to the same result. And I do think we're seeing evidence of that, where there were glimpses tonight where Dennis Schroder was coming up the court, being able to dribble, attack the paint, just like he's expected to, and was able to find TJD or coming off the pick and roll. It's just a matter of getting that consistently. And then also, once the Warriors pick up their shooting, outside and inside, that will force defenses to get off of the perimeter, because they'll be like, okay, we have to guard something inside, you know? And so I think there's a little bit of a cascading effect in which if the Warriors can find some shooting inside, they'll be able to alleviate some of the pressure on the outside as well.
It just feels like there's going to be a game that is a Dennis Schroder game where you're going to go, okay,
oh, yeah.
now the Avalanche is really starting to go, right?
Yeah.
It just feels like it's okay. Every game that they talk about, sometimes you just need one shot to fall.
Yeah.
It feels like sometimes you just need one game overall to be like, oh yeah, that is who I am. I'm still that guy. I don't care if I'm number 17 or number 71. If I'm in a black and white Nets jersey or if I'm in a blue and white Warriors jersey, right? So I think sometimes you just need to do that. You know, it's a big time change. Mid-season, your family's in Brooklyn.
Still in Brooklyn,
exactly.
Right.
So there's a lot for him to kind of
all
navigate right now.
Too.
Yeah, it's a weird time.
Right.
It's almost like, let's just get to 2025.
Yeah.
And then maybe Dennis Schroder can be,
yeah,
I've made it here. I'm good. This is my team, just as well as they're my teammates now. And now we can just go out and play some basketball.
Well, let's talk about someone who is kind of in the opposite situation. Buddy Hield came onto this team at the start of the season shooting lights out. I mean, he skyrocketed to the top of scouts all across the country. And now he has been lacking for shots, just shot efficiency. He's gotten the open looks, but he's just not able to knock them down. Tonight, only 5 points overall, 1 of 6 from 3. Was great on the defensive glass, 7 rebounds on the deep boards, overall 9, but not doing enough at what he's known to do. What's going on with Buddy Hield?
Great question, right? I mean, again, it's kind of the up and down in the season, but it is a little bit of Buddy Hield's career. He is a streaky shooter where then it always usually balances out, though, towards that 40%. Yeah. I mean, the numbers at the beginning of the season were astronomical.
Yeah.
And you were going to go, okay, hey, they're not going to stay there for an 82-game season. Just like I don't expect the numbers right now to be there for the final 52 games by any means. So it always kind of evens out for a shooter like Buddy Hield. But a couple of those highlights, when you see his shots coming off the dribble, that's not really Buddy Hield's game. You want to see him moving off screens. When I see his feet moving, his hips turning, and he's in motion, in flow, you're really confident that shot's going to go down.
Money. Yeah.
When he's trying to create and go off the dribble, a little bit different. So I think it's just finding ways so the Warriors can be, this is a Buddy Hield type set. This is a Buddy Hield type shot. Let's get him going, because he is one of those streaky, hot type shooters where you're going, hey, if we can find a way to get him 2, 3 in a row, now that could be an explosion, right, for a Buddy Hield.
Absolutely.
But when you're seeing, a quarter where he's only shooting 2 times, a quarter where he's not shooting at all, a game where he took 5, 6 shots. Yeah, I want to see a game where he's taking 12 shots with 7 threes. He's in flow with the rhythm. Things are set up for him as well. That's kind of the Buddy Hield that I think, again, can kind of get him going and get the rest of the team going as well.
Warriors are 7th in the country in catch and shoot points. It makes sense that Buddy Hield should be in those situations. All right, when we get back, we got to talk about there's a game at Chase tomorrow. Don't go anywhere. Now, good questions. Good questions up in here. Is it crazy from Sturch Lee to have Schroder be the 6th man?
Yeah, it was a question, I think, kind of even when he came over here. You looked at his career, and I mean, basically, starts versus coming off the bench, he was almost 50-50 before he came with the Warriors. But it's tough because I think, lately with the Nets, so on and so forth, he has been a starter. You want that guy next to Steph Curry. He was also a little bit of a two-way player. That's what they wanted in D'Anthony Melton. Of course, a combo guard. And then you go, okay, who is that going to be? Buddy Hield, he's much more of an offense-first guy, right? It's great to see his activity on the glass, 9 rebounds tonight. Podziemski, you're going to get activity out of him. He's going to die for loose balls. But on-pressure defense, not really his point of attack. That's not really his game defensively. I think you need kind of that pesky, feisty, on-ball defense guy like
and that's Dennis Schroder.
Dennis Schroder. So that's where I'm thinking they probably want him next to Steph.
Another question that's coming up, Slow-Mo. What's going on? You know, he got into the starting lineup, but he hasn't been playing. Literally did not play last game. How is he being viewed in this lineup?
It's a great question because I think that they see him as kind of that ultimate vet for sure, and they love to have him on the team, and they see him in that Draymond role, and that's where I got to go back to roster construction. With Kyle Anderson, with Draymond, with JK, how do you find ways to find the puzzle pieces that all fit? Because they do like what Kyle Anderson brings to the locker room and brings on the court. Because he's the ultimate veteran, but it's finding ways where how does he get the best out of everyone? How does he get the best out of himself as well?
Okay. Welcome back to Dubs Talk Live. The Warriors are going back to Chase Center tomorrow. Back-to-backs, 2 of them in 2 weeks, and they got the Phoenix Suns, who just took an L against the Luka-less Dallas Mavericks, so they're going to be hungry for a win. And then the gauntlet continues. Cleveland, Sixers, Memphis, woo! And then the Kings, who just lost the coach. I mean, there's going to be some big-time competition coming into Chase Center, but right now it's focused on tomorrow night. What can the Warriors take from tonight's loss into or coming back home to the Bay?
That fourth quarter, of course, right? We talk about the energy. We talk about the feistiness. We talk about the grit. I feel like I'm using every single verbiage that Steve Kerr wants to say as a coach, right? But I go back to the steals, the activity, picking up full court. You know, that's what I want to see. How can you translate that for 4 quarters? I'm not saying you can go full court press like you're a CYO team for all 4 quarters by any means.
We remember those days?
Right, of course, right?
8 a.m.
Crazy
to 8
coaches,
p.m.
boys and girls club saying, go out there. But no, again, how do you find that kind of energy from the start of the game? How do you find your defensive force from the start of the game? Because you need that against the kind of Suns who can get really hot offensively, obviously.
Absolutely. Well, the Warriors now 15-15 on the season, coming back to Chase Center, trying to get a little bit warm in the midst of this cold weather. We appreciate you guys breaking down the game. It's been Dubs Talk Live. That's Dalton Johnson. I'm Zena, Keita. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Come back and join us. We'll be right back here tomorrow evening. Have a good one. YouTube, we're back. We're about to close it out. Lots of folks talking about, you know, JK should have started. Should have started the game or should have started the second half. Thoughts?
I was not surprised that he didn't start the game just because I saw the thinking again. And okay, you lose Steph, you lose Draymond. Bring in Buddy Hield for the shooting for Steph. Bring in Kyle Anderson to kind of play that Draymond style of role, and then let Jonathan Kuminga be your scoring punch off the bench. So I was not really surprised that he didn't start. Starting the second half, though, I like that. That's a good point of going, hey, he's the guy. He's the one who's getting it right now. I think he had.
He's got the hot hand coming out the half.
I think he had 19 at the half, and no one else was in double figures. So it's kind of like, all right, guys, we are clearly losing offense with no Steph, no Draymond right now. Let's get JK going to start the second half and see what we got.
He was the only player in double figures for the Warriors. Had 13 at the half. He also had 5 rebounds.
Appreciate you.
Yes, Dalton be coming with the references, boy. He's on it. I love it. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Catherine mentioned she wanted to know who did the Kings lose. The Sacramento Kings fired Coach Mike Brown today, former Warriors assistant. So now Doug Christie, assistant, is going to be the head coach going for the remainder of the season until we'll see what they do over in Sacramento. Let's see. Trade market's still open, folks, and there's thoughts on who we should get. we being the Warriors, I am not a part of the Warriors, the Warriors, we need to stretch fives. We need a new coach. We need the best 5 players. We are losing anyways. Big words coming out of Joe Vital Construction here. Lots and lots and lots of thoughts. Again, over, thinking about the 2 timelines. Well, let's close with this. 2 timelines is a struggle. It's hard trying to develop talent while also preserving veteran talent. Jury's still out. I think once this season is done, that's when you know. After the 4th year of a Moses Moody and a Jonathan Kuminga, and the 2nd years of Brandon Podziemski and Trace Jackson Davis, that's when I think I'll make my judgment on 2 timelines fully. But yeah, it is proving to be difficult. And right now, the 2 timelines getting even harder when the older timeline has to rest on certain nights. And this is going to continue to be a thing where you can expect Steph Curry and Draymond Green in their older age to need to rest, and the rest of the Warriors, that 2nd timeline, they got to pick up the slack. So, jury's out for me. I know some of y'all have made up y'all's minds.
Sure
I know,
but
I can understand it's tough to see it out in action. Anyways.
I think 2 timelines is nearly impossible, to be honest with you. I think when you have somebody like Steph Curry, you do everything in your power to maximize that window, especially also with Draymond Green as well. Right. I am not saying to sell the farm, but truly doing a real actual 2 timelines and balancing the best you can, nearly impossible.
Yeah.
And then tonight, you get a night like Jonathan Kaminga giving you 34, 10, and 5, and then you understand why you're going, this is going to be tough to get rid of any part of the 2 timelines, especially someone who might be the prize jewel in Jonathan Kuminga as the part of the 2 timeline thinking. So a lot to go through from the front office down, from the top of the mountaintop all the way down. We got some time left. There's 52 games left. Let's take a big deep breath.
Yeah,
and we'll see what we have coming up next. It's starting tomorrow. Again, we got a game tomorrow night.
Phoenix Suns,
yes.
Opportunity to bounce back, flush
night.
this game. Let's go. Exactly. Take the L, bring the lessons. All right, folks. Have a great evening.